Church cares, and so does the St. Raymond Annadas Foundation for Freedom, Family, and Faith. Hi, I'm Anne DeSantis, Executive Director. In 2015, the Mercedarian Friars came together because they wanted to start a foundation to help families in crisis. And that's exactly what we've been doing over these years. Whether it be something to do with divorce, separation, trauma, job loss, loss of a loved one, or other adversities, we've helped so many families get through those tough times through the spiritual works of mercy. We'd love to hear from you. Please do get in touch with us for our services. They are prayer, priestly consultation, podcasts and videos, and programs and events. We look forward to hearing from you. Just go to nonotus.org and get in touch with me. I look forward to hearing from you. God bless.
Fiat Ministry Network and Patchwork Heart Ministry present Journeys in Faith. Now, here's Anne DeSantis.
Good evening and welcome to Journeys in Faith here on Fiat Ministry Network. This is Anne DeSantis, your host. It's great to be here with season 3. So it's exciting. We've had some wonderful guests on this season, and tonight is a night like no other because each guest has their gifts to share. And with you this evening, I have Patrick Benner. Patrick, thank you so much for joining me on Journeys in Faith.
Thank you, Anne. It's a pleasure to be here today. Thanks so much.
Oh, it absolutely is. And I want to tell everybody about what you do. You are with Benner Insurance Solutions. It's your own business, an LLC.
Right.
You're an independent insurance specialist. And your website is BennerInsuranceSolutions.com. I'm sure we're going to talk about that more than once during the end of the show.
Sure.
But the show's Journeys in Faith, right? So we will be talking about what you do for a living, and we're going to learn all about that. I'm really excited to unpack that for our audience. But we always start out with the title of our show, right? It's Journeys in Faith. So we would love to hear about your Catholic faith and your family, whatever you'd like to share. So take us on that journey of how you became even more devoted to your Catholic faith.
Sure. So I want to start by saying my faith journey with Christ can be summed up in one word: trust. Trust. That's it. At a very young, I'm one of 7 children. So I came from a large Irish Catholic family. But full transparency, my mom's the Irish Catholic, taught us the rosary, going to mass, all that. My father, still today, has not yet converted, but he's a Christian, baptized Christian, but he has not yet converted. He doesn't go to another faith. When he goes to church, he'll go with us to a Catholic church. So he's a great man, great values he's instilled and passed on to his children. So, but as an adult male and father myself, I hear a lot of Catholic men talk about the influence their fathers or grandfathers had on them with the faith. And yes, my father and grandfathers taught me great values, but I never, I like to say I had to come to my own, on my own, based on, I had to make my own personal choice to follow Christ, very closely, to want to stay close to his Sacred Heart every day of my life. And I think, the blessing is at a young age, I chose to do that. I can remember as a child, the gospel readings that really stand out to me is when Christ says, "Who do you say that I am?" And I remember as a child that really stirring in my heart, stirred something serious in my heart, and I challenged me to think about that question and answer it directly, just like Peter. And also, Peter, get out of the boat, get out of the boat. And that kind of alludes back to the trust factor. I've been very blessed in my life. 39 years old, married with 6 children, married to my wonderful wife Rachel, and
Awesome.
we have 6 children, and I've been very blessed. But I can't say candidly, I can't say I've ever experienced, when I say this word trust, my faith journey, a major physical cross, but emotionally, and as you go through high school and college, and you get out there in the world, and the world pulls you in 20 different directions, wants to pull you in different directions against, counter to the faith. Trust has been my anchor, that anchor between me and Christ. My favorite prayer, arguably, to say is, Jesus, I trust in you. And when I first heard that prayer, I think I was in middle school, when I heard, Faustina's story and all, that truly resonated to me. It was like the Holy Spirit telling me, yes, like, this is really important, that every day you recommit and you say, Jesus, whatever comes my way today, I know you're with me, and I trust in you. So trust, is really, in one word, and that's what I pass on to that's how I evangelize to people. Like, Jesus needs us to trust in him, and that's what he wants from us, and that's what I need to do every day. And I struggle with it at times. I'm not here to say I figured it out or solved it, but trust has probably been, I've been affirmed by friends, other Christians, Catholics. I can really see your trust and faith in Christ is strong, and it, I notice it, and it helps me. So.
And it
Yeah.
certainly shows. It really does. It's such an honor to have you on my program. And
Sure.
we have to make that shout out to our common friend, Derek Fiorenza, the
Sure.
founder of F4 Service, which is Fiorenza's Food for Friends.
Mhm.
And also, of course, he has his own business as well in finance field. We're so blessed to know him. He was also a guest here on Journeys in Faith not too long ago.
Yes.
So I'm really happy for this introduction. Talk a little bit more too, because you're balancing so much, aren't you? You're balancing your work every day, and you're the father of 6, a husband. What is that like? You talked a little bit about your upbringing and being one of 7, and now you have 6 children yourself. You're a busy guy. Tell us a little bit about your kids, your wife, and how do you do that? How do you balance and bring faith to your family? Because I know you're a family of faith.
Yes. Thanks. I do have a written out schedule, like a daily schedule. It's in a binder that I bring with me to work every day, and it includes my personal schedule, what I want to, the structure I want to live by each day, and my work structure. Do I derail from it? Yes, I do. At times, because just that's life, right? Things come up, and but my everyday goal is, when I first, when my feet first hit the ground, I drop to my knees, and I just get united with God in prayer, and just thank him. And as a father of 6 children, candidly, I wish I could say I was there for sometimes a half an hour or 20 minutes, but sometimes it's 2 minutes, sometimes it's 5 minutes. But it's the first acknowledgement of my day is to give God the justice he deserves. That, thank you for this day. Thank you for the gifts you've blessed me with, the family I have under this roof, and help me to extend your mercy. That's one of my common most, I want to lead with mercy today. Mercy, not only just forgiveness, but your tender, like your love. Help me to extend that love, compassion to all those who need it around me. So I lead with that. And I try to stay healthy. It varies, but 3 times a week, 4 days a week, I'll go out and do like a 2-3 mile run or walk around like 6:30 a.m. Try to go earlier, but sometimes I hit the snooze button. But So, and that honestly, I always feel I have more energy to be to be there for my children throughout the day, and especially in the evening when we grow tired. So, but staying, exercising, and I don't go to the gym. I just exercise. So, and that helps me with my energy levels and just
Mm.
staying healthy. And then I'm there with getting the children ready for school, because I have four that go to Catholic school. And so I notice I haven't really done anything with my professional life yet.
Right. We'll get
So
into that.
yeah, yeah. So, um, and so I help the children, get their breakfast and get their school everything gathered, and then I drive them every day. That's my routine. So it used to be my wife, but about a year or two ago, we decided it worked better. My wife has enough on her plate getting breakfast all situated, so I drive the children to school every day, and
That's
and it's
time with them too. That's beautiful that you
it
get
is.
that
I know.
time.
It's a 5 minute drive. It's not, thankfully, the school's not far. It's not close enough to walk, but but it is time with them. And I'm pretty intentional about the radio's never on. It's conversation, with them. I know it's simple but important, that we're dialoguing with the children. I am with the children. So um and then I'm pretty much off to work after that. Um that I get to work around 8:30 or so every day. And then I try to bless the hour is my goal. Like every hour I go into, I've a good Catholic friend years ago told me, every hour you go into, you should ask God to bless it. And that I just love that because it keeps him at the center. Because every hour of our days, it can all the something suddenly can happen and kind of make us forget, whose we are, and that's
That's
God's.
right. Whose we
And
are.
yeah, so I try to stay rooted in prayer throughout the day is the goal, and it helps me when 3 p.m. the kids get home from school, the children get home from school, and they're doing their homework, and they have a question or something. My wife is more liberal arts minded. I'm both. I'm liberal arts and math and science, so I help with the math a lot. So I tutor. Yeah, I could use the word tutor on the math from my office often in the afternoons between 3 to 5 if I'm not with the client. So yeah.
Wow.
So,
I love hearing how you balance everything. I mean, you mentioned exercise, you mentioned spending time with the kids, you mentioned how you organize your day with writing things down and just keeping track of everything. And
yeah,
so really, I'm thinking like body, mind, and soul, which some people think of like holistic. As Catholics, we are holistic. We
right.
know that. We know that we consist of all these different areas of our lives. And it sounds like to me, like you're really balancing that very well. And the last thing that you mentioned with prayer,
Sure.
and that's always the root, isn't it? It's always like the root of how we get our energy and God's grace to just go on every day. So I'm
Sure.
glad that you mentioned prayer. And you also mentioned that Jesus, I trust in you, because we need that, don't we? We need to trust God. We can't get anything done in our lives really without his grace and without his help and his giving us that perseverance. So I just thank you so much for sharing about your faith journey. Now we're going to be taking a commercial break in just a little bit, but I wondered, is there anything else about your personal journey before we go on and moving on to talk about your business and what you do for a living that you might want to share with the audience, something to do with your faith?
Sure.
Maybe something that would encourage others too.
Sure. Um, yeah, so I'll say on my Facebook page, not that I'm not social media savvy, but I'm on there to engage with the world and just try to inject, Christ is really my goal when I go on Facebook is to inject some Christ into the world. Um, I have a slogan under my name and it says put a shoulder under it. And some people are like, what does that mean? Put a shoulder under it. And then underneath it says, always be ready to lend your shoulder to your neighbor, meaning you never know what cross your neighbor's carrying. I live by that every day. I don't let a day go by. Always the Simon of Cyrene helping Christ with his cross, that to me has been in addition to the trust factor, that's really been what God has placed on my heart, like always ready to have my shoulder, you know, metaphorically speaking, but be there for whoever needs Christ in their life, whoever needs hope, whoever needs just a little touch of mercy and love.
So
Yeah.
important that,
Yeah.
and to me, in my personal opinion, I think that that's the pathway to our own healing, right? When we can be open to the pain, the suffering of other people, because
Yeah.
we all have a mission, and that's a mission that we're all part of, right?
Right.
We're all part of it because we need each other in being in community. And
Sure.
so I want to thank you so much for sharing a lot. You really shared a lot about your faith. That's
Sure.
beautiful. Now we have a whole lot more to talk about, but we do have to take a short commercial break. So stay with us here on Journeys in Faith. We'll be back in a couple minutes with Patrick Benner, my guest. See you then. Welcome back to Journeys in Faith on this Friday evening with my guest, Patrick Benner. It's so exciting to have him on the show. During the first half of the program, he talked about his family, his faith, his mission. We learned so much. And if you're just tuning in now, make sure you go back and watch the beginning because there's a lot there to unpack. Now, on top of that, Patrick has his own business. It's called Benner Insurance Solutions. He's located in the greater Philadelphia area. The website is bennerinsuranceSolutions.com. So make sure you go there and learn. So why don't we start out with, during this half of the show, I love you just to tell us about your business and how you got started.
Sure. So it's obviously I'm in the insurance business, but I want to clarify more the property part of insurance and casualty. So the property and liability part of insurance. Not necessarily. I can help people with health insurance because I work with some great other people who align with my values that do that. But I am insuring homes, autos, buildings for commercial insurance companies, nonprofits, protecting them from any type of risk that could hurt them and their business, their homes, and their livelihoods. So I started it in June of 2022. I founded it.
Wow.
And it was very intentional. When I started this, I had been in the industry for a couple of years, and I knew that I worked for one carrier. I won't name the name, but I knew that I did not want to work for just one company. I wanted to go out on my own, start my own brand, my own vision of what insurance, property and casualty insurance broker should do, and how they should operate. And I'm independent. So I'm proud to say I'm independent. I don't work for any company, work for myself. And I have contracts with all different companies and carriers that I can represent. And I really just have a lot of freedom and liberty to, and I always say I work for, now I can work for the customer and not the company. So,
So important, right? Because it is
right,
all about people. Just
right,
like you said at the end of the first half, how you like to recognize every day in your life when you meet people, the crosses that people have to bear.
sure,
And it sounds like to me what you're doing, you're really integrating both your faith and your work and just recognizing the needs, right? You're filling a need that people have. And
sure.
so I think that's a beautiful thing. So in terms of your business now, what areas do you serve? We're here in the greater Philadelphia area. I know that you don't just serve southeastern Pennsylvania, correct?
Correct. Yeah, all of Pennsylvania. I have clients, working on a client in Pittsburgh right now, but all the 5 county area, Lancaster, yeah, all of Pennsylvania. I can insure anybody in Pennsylvania, all of New Jersey, and all of Delaware as well. And I do have access to certain other states, even like into Washington, D.C. and into New York and to all the way down to Florida, through different wholesalers and all. But primarily, I do serve the tri-state area.
Very,
Yeah,
very good.
yeah,
So now, is there anything else about your business? You mentioned the home insurance and some of the other aspects.
sure.
Tell us just to dig a little bit deeper there so we can learn more about. Somebody might be watching this video right now and they might be thinking, I really need to do that. I need to move forward with something like this. So what would be kind of those steps that someone would take if they reached out to you? What would you do? How would you evaluate? And then what would be the final steps they'd need to make to get started?
Sure. So I'll start with this factoid. At least, this is supported by insurance data, at least 50%. So every other American you pass by each day is underinsured. At least that is underinsured, meaning they don't have proper insurance protection. That's how gross, that's how much that's how big the industry is, and sadly, how people are just improperly protected. So my slogan is properly protected. So I sit down and do a very fastidious, a very thorough review, and I do the work. I don't want people to think, oh, that means I have to sit down for a 3-hour meeting with Pat. It doesn't mean that. It means I'll do all the investigative detective work, studying your policies, your coverages, what you have on your homeowners, what you have on your auto insurance, and if you have an umbrella policy, and then I can see the whole picture and where you might have exposures. Like, did you know that if that happened to you, you're not covered, and you could suffer a serious financial loss suddenly, and that you wouldn't be ready for and prepared for financially. I've seen it happen to families. It's tragic. It's very tragic. And so, candidly, some insurance agents or brokers, at the beginning you said specialist, which is what it says on my business card, but I really am an agent or a broker to an advisor too, really, in insurance. And but yeah, people today they're not properly protected. And my job is to my goal and my mission is to make sure everybody's properly protected, so no sudden loss ever financially punishes you.
Yeah, that's a good word, financially
Yeah.
punishes, because
Yeah.
I can think of people I know, unfortunately, maybe they had a fire in the home or something that, there are things that happen, unfortunately. So we have to be prepared for the worst, hope for the best, pray for the best, right? But we just don't know. Now, I'm sure that you've also seen some success stories too of people who made
Sure.
right decisions, and you're seeing it every day because people say, hey, I do want to go ahead. So you don't need to name any names, of course, but
Sure.
tell us a little bit about what that's like when you see the people that are getting themselves situated and how that gives them that peace of mind, because that's what it gives them, isn't it?
Sure. Sure. Peace of mind. One simple story is I had a client come to me with their auto insurance, and they had their previous carrier. I pointed it out to them. If their windshield, they had a nice car, and if their windshield was to rock from the road, sudden, unpredictable event, it's $1,000 out of their pocket. It's $1,000, just like that. For almost nothing more, I was able to fully protect their windshield. 2 months later, they're on the highway, rock hits their windshield. They call me up. You're not going to believe this. Thanks so much for that, paying that extra, whatever, $3 it was for the year. And now I don't have to pay anything to get a new $1,000 windshield,
Oh,
so
that's a great story. I
so
mean, and these are
yeah,
real, that's a real story. This is not something you made up. I mean, this happened. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
good to
and
know that you're able to tangibly help these people, and people just like the ones who are watching this program and thinking kind of on the fence, right? They're on the fence about what to do. Well, maybe this is a sign for you to
right,
get in touch with Patrick and at least to learn more, right?
right,
You do that with people, right? I mean, they can just
yes,
contact you just to find out more.
right, right, and absolutely. And I want to say that another homeowner client of mine moved into a new home. It was built 10 years ago, like one of these nice new homes, and they had a $33,000 water loss suddenly while they were sleeping, a water loss, and the tally of the damage was $33,000. Now the insurance company, and this I will say this carrier I no longer work with, but the insurance company was trying to basically say, oh, we're only going to provide you like $20,000, even though it's like they were trying to negotiate how much they were going to pay out. But I got into his corner and I said, no. I said, you have to, that floor costs X dollars. It doesn't cost, you're going on the cheap on that. And so I got into his corner and I was able to, as an agent, as a broker, to advocate for them. And other than his small deductible, he didn't have to pay a penny more. And there's $33,000 for a father of 4 children, young children, paying private school tuition and all. That was a big deal.
Oh, that's a huge deal because most people, let's face it, in this economy, most people don't have a ton of extra money sitting around in the bank or wherever just ready to pay for something like this.
Right.
So it's good to know that when you think ahead, when you make good decisions like this, maybe in going with a company like Patrick's, somebody like him who's advocating, use that word. And I think that's a very good word to use because we all need that, don't we?
Right.
One of the other questions I want to ask, kind of combining what we talked about in the first half, was that, you're integrating your faith. So obviously you're exercising your human virtues, the honesty, the justice, all these different things that you're making sure that you're advocating for the best situations for other people. I'm sure that you've also maybe maybe the topic of faith has come up once in a while with some
Mhm.
of your clients. Talk a little bit about that. And not to say, I know you serve anybody and that's the way it should be, but when you integrate your faith, sometimes you can't help but let people know that you're praying for them, or that you're just on their side, and that God cares, right? And God is also on their side in getting them through a difficult situation.
Sure. Sure. I think the most common thing is with auto insurance, when I insure somebody who's like 80 years old or older, those clients and their spouse passes away, I've dealt with those phone calls. And they have to call in and say, yes, we have to remove my husband or my wife off the policy because they passed away like last month or 2 weeks ago. And that's so I have no hesitation to say, you're in my thoughts and prayers, and I'm praying
Good.
for you to get through this time. I know, and there's resources out there too. I'm aware of it, being very involved in my church community. Like there's resources if you're going through grieving and you need support. So yeah, it's great to be independent. Not that any carrier or company would prevent me from, but it's just the freedom of being to have my own independent business, to be able to just speak from my heart and from my faith that this is what I believe, and I'm praying for you, and so
Very good. Yeah, so good to know. And we appreciate letting our audience know about that too. Now we get viewers from all over. We get viewers from the eastern side of the United States, out in the West. So somebody also might be watching this and thinking, I need to make decisions. What kind of questions should somebody ask if they're looking for a person just like you in the business of insurance? What are the signs? Maybe just 1 or 2 signs that you're working with somebody that's good. How would they make that decision?
Sure. I would say for their homeowners, which is arguably one of your most a person's important assets is a home, right? I mean, everybody loves their home and puts a lot of money into their homes. Ask your agent or broker, am I insured at full replacement cost? That's when I talked about earlier, people are underinsured. A lot of people with their homes are underinsured. For example, I sat with a family back in the fall. Their property was insured for $450,000. I used the universal calculator that all companies use, it's not a proprietary thing, and it came out to like 850,000. They were underinsured by like $400,000 because they hadn't talked to their agent in like 10 years. It was being overlooked. And so it's really important. Ask that question. Is my property insured at full replacement cost? If it were to burn down tomorrow, could I rebuild this property? Or would I only get 70%?
That is a great question. I'm so glad you brought that up. Boy, that's
right.
Really super important. So, yeah.
Right.
Anything else?
And then liability on the auto insurance. Ask, do I have an umbrella policy? And some people, I mean, I know exactly what an umbrella policy is. Some people don't. Some people are, and I say an umbrella policy is the most important policy because it's the only cost. If you don't have an umbrella policy, it's the only cost that could, lack of a better words, eat you alive financially. Because lawsuits are running amok out there today, even for things where it was unintentional, you didn't mean to harm somebody, and they're trying to sue people for $1 million, and an umbrella policy protects you from that. It usually only can cost $200 a year. It can cost $300 a year. It's worth that $1 million of protection, just because of all the craziness of happiness of lawsuits. Not that some lawsuits are justified, but some are not, and
some are not. That's good. What great
Yeah.
advice. I mean, there's a lot more to come because people who are watching this, this is an invitation, this show is an invitation for you to get in touch with Patrick, especially if you live within those areas that he described, the Pennsylvania and the surrounding states. And even you said you can be a broker for other states, even like Florida or other places. So get in touch with him. Now I'm going to give you the website again so that you can reach out. The website is BennerInsuranceSolutions.com. Again, his name is Patrick K. Benner. He's the CEO and president of Benner Insurance Solutions, LLC. So do you have any final words before we end this program?
Yeah, I think my final word is, my brand as a company is to, as we speak, building relationships with all the best contractors, meaning they align with my values: integrity, honesty, hard workers, will do the job right, roofers, carpenters, electricians, lawyers, financial advisors. I'm not a financial advisor, but I work with great financial advisors like a Derek Fiorenza. And so I work with all the right people. So I'm building a team, right? A support team around me where we can help support you, and not just your insurance needs, but all the right needs. So, yeah.
So great. So great. What an honor for me to host you on the show. Again, I want to thank our good friend, both of our friend, Derek Fiorenza, and just, thank him for this connection, not only with me, my husband, he's a good friend of both of ours. And I wish you the best, Patrick, you and your family. In fact, I know that we also have to set up our appointment for you to talk to my husband, and I'm really excited about that and for us to learn more. I'm going to practice what I preach in terms of having you on the show and asking people to talk to you. I'm going to do it myself and excited to, get started and do something with this. So wishing you all the best, and thank you again. All right. Thanks so much. It's a pleasure is mine. So thank you. And we'll see all of you here next Friday night here on Journeys in Faith with Anne DeSantis on Fiat Ministry Network. God bless.
Journeys of Faith is a production of Fiat Ministry Network and Patchwork Heart Ministry. For more information about Journeys of Faith, email info@fiatministrynetwork.tv. And be sure to friend, follow, and like us on social media. Just search Journeys in Faith with Anne DeSantis.